have is the equivalent of $450 million back into the farming industry. That's a lot of money that comes straight off the farmer's bottom line. How refreshing it is to hear the farming sector focusing on this issue. In the 90s, some farming leaders used to applaud higher interest rates and the monetary policies that deliberately punished the productive tradable goods sector. Today, interest rates are too high at a time when banks should be reducing them. And we'll have that debate with banks at another occasion. In a recession, while banks around the world have been under pressure, the big banks here, in my view, have been smoking. In the current environment, a lot of farms are facing a squeeze and they will struggle to meet repayments on their debt. This is serious and it needs serious attention urgently, but I'm not confident it will get it. I'll tell you what I would do if I was still Agricultural Minister. I would immediately convene a task force of our best and brightest, both in the government and in the private sector, including the banks, to develop a short, medium, long-term strategy to deal with this issue. It's been hanging around our head like the sword of Damocles for far too long, and there's no sign in my view that we've got a handle on it. The huge remittances to banks are the result of the Australian banks funding our balance of payments deficit. They are taking an enormous clip of the ticket for doing so. We need to rely more on our own savings instead of spending the savings of others. And we need more fresh thinking on the balance of payments problem itself. We need a broad-based focus to reduce our imports. We could make a start if we were able to reduce our dependence on imported oil, which invariably will rise, cost of. If we could develop reasonably priced biofuels and other forms of new energy and reduce waste energy, we would score a huge opportunity for farming. Potentially a new source of revenue for farmers, potential cost savings, a contribution to a better climate and the natural resources our farms depend on, and a substantial reduction in our trading deficit with the rest of the world. On top of all of these advantages would help us to prosper in a world where consumers are becoming more demanding and asking more searching questions about sustainability. And I heard the comments this morning about consumers being fickle, a little bit like people who vote in elections. You know, it's the same sort of thing. This is partly about how we manage our emissions, of course, but it's about a lot more than that as well. If New Zealand is going to achieve a higher price for our production than our competitors, then quality and a perceived advantage as being more environmentally responsible will be part of the national brand. And I heard the debate about whether people would pay more for it. They will. I'm not saying it's absolutely consistent, but in the fishing industry, where I was Minister of Fisheries, the consumers around the world were prepared to pay a 20% premium on fish from New Zealand that was environmentally certified. 20% increase. Just imagine if there was a 20% increase in price for agricultural products that were deemed to be in the same bag. As every responsible study shows, clean performance means we need to be responsible about our carbon emissions. That's why the opposition, which I'm a spokesperson for, is taking a constructive approach to working with the government on emissions trading. And I agree there should be cross-party agreement on these things. They're too important to make political footballs of them. Only yesterday we voted with the government on a new climate change bill in a spirit of working in the best interests of all our industry sectors. Some conclusions, however, are inescapable. As a general principle, polluters, one way or another, will have to bear the cost of their emissions. There are developments on the table, such as Gordon Brown's proposal yesterday for a global development fund to help poor countries replace their emissions with cleaner alternatives. We are talking about the future of the planet. I hope everyone's got their mind focused on that real issue. The world is also moving closer to a global carbon trading scheme. Once that happens, New Zealand taxpayers will not long pay to subsidise polluters as we are now. The free lunch will come in big time, and when people find out how much they're paying, they'll be demanding some redress, I can assure you of that. Any government in New Zealand is going to have to deal with emissions if we are a prudent country. What won't work is hoping that the problem goes away and a do-nothing philosophy. And I continue to believe environmental sustainability is in fact a competitive advantage for New Zealand, and farmers in particular. When you see the ugly factory farms in many parts of the world that I've seen, and you compare their practices to the clean, and open countryside we farm in New Zealand, you will see we have a huge opportunity here. I know that there are a few New Zealanders as passionate about land as our farmers, and I've experienced that at first hand, and I constantly remind New Zealanders that our farming community is among our best conservationists in fact. And so as the world cares more about the good of our planet, this should be an enormous opportunity for us. It will require care to seize the opportunity, because it is implicit in seizing the opportunity that we live up to our promise. You can't just say that we are cleaner and greener and higher quality than our competitors. We have to be cleaner, greener and higher quality than our competitors, in fact. Consumers will not be impressed if we are seen to be dragged, kicking and screaming, into a better environmental performance. If you want to know what happens when change takes too long, ask the pork industry how its animal welfare standards are perceived by the public. I actually have some sympathy for the pork industry, and I gave them support as Minister in giving the sector time to change. But the view of a Minister and the view of the general public, given mass communication and all the rest of it, are two different things. I hope that a review of the Animal Welfare Code for pigs this year will impose higher standards. But none of us should be uncertain about the cost to the entire industry of the strategy it has followed. The public saw it as too slow to change, instead of adopting a strategy of having the highest quality of animal welfare. And animal welfare is one of the coming issues that we're going to face as an agricultural-based economy. The reputational damage has made the pork industry the subject of more letters to my office than anything else, including the smacking bill, which is instructive. It doesn't have to be fair or reasonable, just a fact. If that can happen to that sector, it can happen to any other. We cannot be seen to be the source of dirty water or unsustainable users of resources. And I know that some of the accusations in this regard are false and they are unreasonable, but it just shows you where all this leads if you're not careful. We cannot be seen as polluters when our industry is based on healthy growth, on food and on good health. So overall, we have an environmental challenge. We have a challenge to the industry's financial stability as well. We have a squeeze on its cost structure. We have a struggle in global markets. Don't depress you too much, but I do have to point out these are the realities that you are facing. And we have to face them with you, we being New Zealand Incorporated. The solutions will be discovered by science. Sustained, deep and ongoing investment in research and development in the agricultural industry is crucial to identify cost-saving opportunities and to identify new processes and new products that will extract more value. Our future is not on price competition, it's on high value competition at the top end of the value chain market. As has been well rehearsed by now, I put my stake in the ground for research and development in the primary industry sector. The New Zealand Fast Forward Fund was a commitment over 10 to 15 years of real money, $700 million that was put in the MAF account, earning interest at the rate of $50,000 a day, I might say. And together with private sector partnerships, was worth $2 billion over the lifetime of the fund. It's been replaced, in my view, by a relatively puny $70 million annual commitment in the budget rounds with no certainty of renewal, actually. And any guarantee is only for 4 years. There is no guaranteed long-term commitment, there is no chance to earn interest and fund very large projects through a system of annual appropriation, when science has to compete with every other taxpayer demand. And I know where science comes when you're around the cabinet table, arguing about cancer treatment for kids versus scientific investment at Lincoln University. It would be unfair, and that's why I wanted a fixed fund that would actually sit there and be available for 15 years. It would be unfortunate if the message that politicians drew from this episode, where you can just change something like that the message is that there's no political problem with cutting research and development. Just cut it. Who cares? Not only that, of course, we cut the R&D incentives as well. I believe there's a huge divide over this